And hello, everyone. It's Tuesday afternoon. Yes, I actually tried to say Thursday before the show started. I'm doing good now.
I thought you said Thursday.
Yeah, I did.
I didn't even think to try and say, well, wait a minute. What is today? I would have just gone along with you, man. You should have stuck with it.
No, because I know these people that follow me, they'll burn me for it in a heartbeat.
Nothing wrong with getting burned.
Uh,
Actually, there is a lot wrong.
Depends on how badly.
Yeah.
Long week already. Yep.
Mom Biarella, hello. Hello, Facebook user. Is your first name Facebook and last name user?
I have to go see who that is real quick. And it won't show me. Oh, sorry. Hello. But everyone, we are here with Freddy Cruz. I know a lot of y'all probably recognize the name, but he is an author. We'll stick with that for now. And he wrote They Canceled the DJ. I had to get that out right. And that is
correct.
And Mish actually runs Corpus Christi, a Comic-Con down in Corpus Christi. So can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Absolutely.
No spoilers, though.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Thank you. Well, They Canceled the DJ was inspired by actual events, not based on, but inspired by. So I would go back to pre-pandemic. This would be fall of 2019, and in a previous life, I was a top 40 radio DJ, and so I believe the festival was ACL. I think it was ACL. But a colleague of mine was backstage with some musicians and some other local Houston area press, photographers, social media people, and the like. And he thought he was hitting it off with a woman. Everything was going well. The small talk worked. He thought he was getting the digits. And what happened? Lo and behold, he got ditched. He got ditched for one of the musicians in a B-rated band, and they walked off into the pale moonlight, and lo and behold, they end up married now. And so when he told me that story of how he thought he was hitting it off with this woman, and she left, ended up taking off with this guy, and he was barefoot and shirtless or whatever, and they walked off, and so we laughed at his expense, because that's what friends do when something like this happens. And then I thought to myself, how can I make this situation 10,000 times worse?
Oh, God.
And so that was the catalyst for the story. So the story follows a syndicated radio host who in a fictional town. And so he meets not Mrs. Right, but Mrs. Right now, who's absolutely wrong in every way, because she ditches him for the world's most famous musician on stage at a show. His name is River Bronswell. And so that's one of the reveals, and the rest of the story is him trying to get revenge on the two of them. And the plot leading up to that point is quite fun. So
now, you had mentioned being a DJ. That had to have been extreme fun as well, because you have to keep, in my mind, you would have to keep very sharp-witted at something like that.
Yes. And that was really what made writing this story seem easier. The first book, was a dystopian thriller with political implications and an assassination of a very high ranking presidential level executive. Um, and so there was a lot of research going into that. And as far as writing this book, I've been a DJ for 20 plus years. So living the life, that was my research.
That would definitely been fun. So I gotta ask, because he was another big name around here. Did you ever get a chance to meet Moby?
Never met Moby. That was he was on the air when I was a kid. So
Okay.
and that was I remember hearing him. I remember hearing him maybe a couple of times in the 80s when I was, in the truck with my aunt. But
Mhm.
yeah.
Because I remember he was one of the big names back, well, like you said, when I was a kid, even. So,
Yeah. Never met him.
but for your books, I mean, the DJ part, and is it more of a revenge suspense or?
It's a satire, dark humor. And so, yeah, there's some suspense. I think that with any story that you write, there's got to be some level of conflict because that's what keeps the pages turning, even if it's a romance or a middle grade book, a Ramona Quimby type book. You've got to have that conflict because that's what keeps the reader engaged. So it builds that intrigue, that suspense. So you have to have certain levels of it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to get categorized as a mystery thriller, but you have to have those elements. It's just like when you write a horror, horror. I hate that word, horror. Just like I hate the word brewer and digital. And of course, I say those two words and have no trouble enunciating them. But whenever it comes time, I can't say them for the life of me. But when you're writing horror, when you're writing scary books, scary time,
Change the word.
yeah, you got to have that. You have elements of romance, or you have elements of the mysticism or whatnot, and that doesn't necessarily make it a romance novel. It's
Mm-mm.
a scary book, a horror novel with a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or a husband and wife or whatnot. So
And I guess it depends on the level too. Now, for yours, would you say that it's young adult or adult?
it's for whoever likes a good dose of a healthy dose of Schadenfreude, because man, people get what they deserve.
Now, are you going to be continuing this as a series, or are you going to be writing other books, or?
As it stands now, this is a standalone, and I don't know that I don't know that there will ever be a sequel. I mean, reading the last chapter, I think it ties up nice and neatly, but there's always a possibility that that River could end up getting what he actually deserves.
You never know.
You never know. But yeah, I've got this one, and then the book that comes out in November is a standalone also. And reading the final chapter, I'm like, this might work as a series, maybe a duology or a trilogy. Who knows? I think anything is possible. I do know that tentatively speaking, what I'd like to do is for 2024. You heard it here first. I'd like to re-release my first book, When America Fell Silent, and add some sort of novella to the end or the beginning, and just kind of tinker around with some of the writing. Not change it, not change it. Thank you, Amy. You're very sweet. Um, I'd like to change just a little bit of it, some of the components. I stand by my work, so it's not like anything actually needs to be fixed or anything, but I think I'd just like to go in and see how I can add to it. And I think it wouldn't be too difficult, simply because I had toyed around with the idea of adapting it into a screenplay
Hmm.
and for a series. And so I essentially wrote an episode 1 of a series, and I haven't shopped it around or anything. So I don't know. We'll see.
I know someone I need to introduce you to.
Introduce me, baby. Break out
He's
that digital business card. See, I couldn't
he,
say it that time. Digital.
he's
Damn it.
actually right. He's actually writing scripts for a movie that he wants to do. So I know someone who introduce you to. That will
Very
be
cool.
fun. Now, one thing that we actually talked about on the before the show was animal advocacy. You are big into the animals and saving their lives and basically how cruel people can be to some of the animals. And I've seen some stories that are just nightmares.
Yeah. Yeah, it really brings out the worst in humanity. And um, two things that come to mind are Scouts Honor, who, and I forget the lady who runs it, but Scouts Honor out of Houston, where um, a dog was literally set on fire,
Mm,
and they rehabilitated the dog. It made worldwide headlines, and and when I was taping this interview for my previous employer, I had to stop recording because I just started crying. I couldn't help. Could not help myself because it was heartbreaking. But then she started talking about how um, the dog recovered and the dog's living its best life. In fact, the website is scoutshonor.org, so scoutshonor.org, and there's some blog posts about that dog. I think it was a German Shepherd, but yeah, it was set on fire and left for dead. Another story that comes to mind is the lovable pit bull. Her name is Bubbles, and she's got an Instagram following of, I think, more than 25,000. And so I met her at Doggy Party on the Plaza, and she is a beautiful little dog, and she's missing one eye, and her face is crooked because she was shot, and when she wouldn't die, they hit her on the head with a hammer like multiple times, and so um,
mm.
the family that took her in essentially rehabilitated her and brought her back to life. So yeah. And thank you to Amy for complimenting the shirt. And that's the second time in about a week and a half that I've gotten a compliment on this shirt. I will tell you, this is 2 years old. It's a 2-year-old shirt, 1999, clearance rack, J. Crew Factory. I
Nice.
love it. Some people brag about how expensive their clothes are. I brag about a deal. I love bragging
Mm,
about deals. 20
yeah,
bucks.
definitely. Well, one thing that Amy and I are doing with our Comic Con that we are running, which will be next year for those who don't know, is we are actually sponsoring another group, which is all Animals Lives Matter in East Texas, and they actually had just shared a story similar to yours. Uh, the guy was going to work and he saw a dog abandoned on the road. He wasn't sure if it was dead or not, so he called these people up. And when they got there, they found out that the dog had actually been shot in the head,
Hmm.
and I guess it hit the foot too, but they had to take it to the vet and they actually did surgery. The dog was recovering, and actually they had to cut off the paw because that was so much damage there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and these people, just so you know, and I'm sure Scouts Honor is the same way, these people cover their own bills. They they're nonprofit organizations. They need help with some of this stuff. Now, whether it's sending them food or anything like that, or even sharing posts, that's one of the best things that people can do. If you can't afford, share the post. Help these people out. They need it.
Absolutely. And another organization who, and you're going to hear it here first, Season 2 of my podcast, Freddy's Huge Ask podcast, launches in September, and I'm doing something that I don't know has ever been done in the history of podcasting, at least in Houston. I've never heard of this being done, but I've got an official nonprofit organization that I'm adopting. So the official podcast, the official organization of Freddy's Huge Ask podcast is A Place for Peanut. And A Place for Peanut is this beautiful ranch. And Megan Cardette, anybody from the Houston area would know who the late great sportscaster Bob Allen is.
Hmm.
He and Megan were engaged to be married. They co-founded this organization in 2016. Rescuing Peanut is an actual horse, and Peanut is still alive. And it's an adorable little animal. God, I want to squeeze it. But I mean, so cute. But yeah, so they rescue horses at A Place for Peanut that are bound for the kill pens. And so they use these horses for glue and for meat, because in Mexico and in Europe you can eat horses. So yeah, she rescues these horses, and as I as it stands now, I think they're at over 30 or maybe even over 40 animals. So it started with miniature horses, but now it's full size horses, Belgians, and then they have donkeys, and the donkeys are really cute too. But they've got horses of all shapes and colors and sizes, and yeah, they're it's incredible what this very small staff is able to do for these animals with very little resources. So it's really cool. And the reason why I'm adopting this organization for my podcast is because we've gotten a chance to spend a lot of time out there, and I've really had a chance to learn about these animals' individual stories. And when you hear about, like, when you hear about a horse, that is tied to trees, to two different trees, and maimed and beaten and left for dead, and then you hear about someone like Megan, who she and her organization can take these beautiful angels, because that's what they are, and can take these angels and rehabilitate them and treat them. Um, then I mean, it's why wouldn't I want to do what I can to try and spread the word about what she's doing? And so she takes these animals too. Not only does she rehabilitate them, but they provide equine therapy. I think I'm saying that word right. Equine therapy. So there's Jamie's. Oh gosh, it's Jamie's Hope. Yeah, Jamie's Hope is a cancer foundation. So, and Jamie unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, but they provide equine therapy for cancer patients, and for soldiers and veterans with PTSD. So, there's a lot of, it's like a win for everybody who comes into contact with these animals. And of course, the amazing story is how she and her team are helping to rescue them, and not only rescue them, but rehabilitate them. And you look at them and they have no idea that they went through what they went through.
If that's the same group, I think it is. They actually work with Sherwood Forest as well.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
I remember getting a brochure from them, and Sherwood Forest was a big sponsor of them as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, but going to your point about these organizations, I mean, we have BARK, and we have the Fort Bend County Animal Shelter that's out here, and where you are in Porter, I guess it's Montgomery County.
Montgomery.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got the county services, we got the city pound, we've got BARK. So, and yes, we need those places as well, and they serve their purpose. But at the same time, they get overwhelmed. And so where do these animals go if they're not getting euthanized? They're going to the smaller shelters or the foster groups, and so they survive only on donations. And yeah, every little bit counts, but we also like the rich people. So we love us some
Yeah.
rich people that can donate a lot of money, baby. Yeah, so yeah, it's just yeah. It's
Now, where can people find your podcast? That's
mm,
definitely
Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, and Odyssey.
okay. Now, do you do that with do you do them live, or I don't know if they do the lives on that or not. I think they do on iHeart. I'm not sure about Apple.
Yeah, no, I just record everything. I record everything. Just for example, I've got on the day of this recording, I had two interviews. One with a children's author, the other one with William Kent Kruger, and then I've got another one with a life and wellness coach, talking about self doubt. So and then those will get spread out over the course of a few weeks.
Very nice. And your books, where can they find them? Or if they wanted a signed book, do you have a website that they can go to order? Or
Um, I'll tell you this: there's you can go to Amazon. You can go to Amazon, but I will tell you, um, for your listeners right now, the first 3 people will get a signed copy of They Canceled the DJ. So there you go. 3 copies. I'll send you.
Hmm.
I'll send you a copy too, Greg.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Well,
you can figure out how you want to give the three copies away.
I think I can figure that one out pretty quick.
Yeah. Sorry to spring that up on you. I just figure, you know what? Why not?
Oh my God! Repeat that.
I figure, why not? Why the heck not? I mean, I've got a stack of books. Oh, actually, here. I got a stack of books right here. Right here.
Very nice. Now, do you ever go to? I know a lot of authors do, but do you ever go to conventions to do signings? Have you ever thought of it? The smaller ones.
I'll go anywhere that'll invite me.
I will never suggest a big convention. Not when you have to pay for the tables around here. But I want a signed copy.
I'll send you one, Amy.
Well, let's see. There's Mommy, and then there's Amy. Let's see if I can just flip.
Oh, is Mom Briella your mom?
No.
Oh,
Mom
well, you
B.
said Mommy.
No, Mom B.
Oh, Mom B. Oh,
It's like zombie.
zombie. All right, Mom Briella. Mom Briella.
You know, she actually hosts a podcast or video casts, I would say. She's on YouTube.
Very cool.
But yeah, we do a lot of conventions around here, and I know a lot of authors that go to those and definitely sell their books and sign. So I wasn't sure if you did that or not. Not sure if they used to have one out in Fort Bend. Not sure if they still do.
I should do a better job of advocating for myself. I'm one of those authors that writes it and, you know, it's, I don't want to say set it and forget it because I have done stuff. But yeah. And well, and I had a lot of challenges with this one. The least of which was a previous edit getting to press. And so on publishing date of October 27th, I buy the book because that's what authors do. You buy your number one fan, so you buy a copy. So I'm like, oh, look at this. This is amazing. And so I'm reading, I'm like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be like that. Wait a minute, that's not supposed to be like that. And so 70 something errors later, I realized that the proofreader that I had hired did a really bad job of proofreading my book. And he told me, he was like, oh yeah, this reads well, and I don't really see that you need many corrections. And I took him at his word. And I will tell you this too, because I did proofread for my first book. I proofread everything that you do 3 major rounds of editing for people watching. You go through the developmental round, which is character, plot, plot holes, delete this character, delete your book, start over, it's crap. That, which any author will feel like, oh my God, what am I doing? So yeah, you go developmental, you go copy edit, and then you do a final proofread. Those are the three major rounds. And you, of course, edit your work before you go to the three major rounds. So you work it out as much as you can, as best to your ability. Then you go to the developmental. Another word I hate saying, the developmental round. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So yeah, I was in that copy edit proofread process, listening to a podcast called I don't think it's on anymore. It's called Six Figure Authors, and the guy was talking about, yeah, well, I pay $1,000 to have someone proofread my book, and that's I should be able to trust him. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I should be able to trust my proofreader. Screw that. That's why I'm paying him money. I'm not just paying some hack $100 or $200. This is an investment, and I should be able to trust him that he's going to do the job that I paid him to do. And so I
Yes.
did. And so I didn't proofread the proofreader, and poof, that's what happened. And then so I went back to my publisher, and so we pulled it, and then we did a soft re-release at the end of 2021, and that was garbage. Some stuff that just, for better or worse, it just didn't work out. It is what it is. But you combine that with me getting coronavirus and being hung up for the last year, and then people, with and it really wasn't that bad. But I got that, and obviously you don't go out, and then people still being very hesitant about going places. And certainly no one's going to want to come into any kind of contact with someone who's had coronavirus. So that kind of scrapped. It really just, it really took the wind out of the sails. It, the balloon was like, and yeah. So the book is out there, and I stand by it. But yeah, I should do a better job of advocating for myself. But
yeah,
is what it is.
Sometimes you get caught up in life. I can say that.
Yeah, but it's a good book, and I like it. It's a damn good book, and I like it. You know what's a good book, though? I know I'm talking about other people's work. This one right here. Oh, man. Yeah. That's a good one.
Well, Amy says that your book's pretty good, so we'll definitely have to go with her. And where was that? She follows Bubbles. It was up here somewhere. There we go.
You're very kind, Amy. Thank you.
But yeah, I definitely agree. I think my biggest issue when I wrote my first book was I had a problem with the time slots. So I had to rearrange the order of how I put things. So, I mean, there's many different things. You have the plot holes, and you hope that your proofreader will catch them.
Yeah. And there are things that are as simple that you don't really think about, because the biggest challenge for any writer, and I've talked to enough authors and like people like Kyle Mills and people who have written dozens of books over 20, 30 years, that just getting words onto a blank page or a blank screen is the hardest part of writing a book. So as you're, for lack of better terms, vomiting these words out, you're not really thinking about consistency or continuity. So Greg or Freddy can write something where character A, John Doe, is waking up at 6 a.m. to go for a run, and then he's being chased by a guy with a hockey mask. Whereas so that's chapter 1, and then chapter 3, it's character John Doe woke up during an afternoon nap and went for a run and got shot by a guy wearing a Michael Myers mask. And it's like, wait a minute, I thought he woke up in the morning and got his head chopped off by a guy with a Jason mask, with a hockey mask. And now you're telling me he woke up in the afternoon and it was Michael Myers and he got shot? No, But you got to make sure the continuity is like the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all stuff. It's like any good writer that actually cares about the stuff, that kind of stuff will catch it before sending it off to a developmental editor. And I think intuitively, you reach a point where you groom and groom and groom and kind of nip the bud, and you tweak and you get to the point where, okay, now I need help and I can't do any more. So let's call in the professionals who can come in with an objective eye and look at what needs to be fixed, what sucks, what works,
Mm-hmm.
and out of the stuff that works, how can we apply what works to something that sucks? Or how can we replace what sucks that you deleted with something that you can expand on, using the components that actually work? I hope that makes sense.
It does, and I agree wholeheartedly on that. But everyone, I will go through later and post where you can get his books. I will also give him a list of names, so y'all will have to or message me y'all's address, Mom Birella and Amy, and I will go through and I'll probably pick the other one that was talking. This was my first broadcast on LinkedIn, actually. So
Oh, all right.
LinkedIn, you're an exclusive on LinkedIn.
All right. We heard it here first, everybody. I feel like I should have wore a tie and a jacket.
No, not around me.
Oh,
I'm
man.
still a country boy.
We all are. We're all country boys and city slickers in some way, shape, or form. Except for you, Sparrow. It's my
There
dog.
we go. Yay, the OG. I literally just screamed yay. Yeah, y'all are a trip. But anyway, everyone, I know we've actually surpassed our time. So
Oh, did
thank you
we?
for being on. Oh, yeah, easily.
How
12,
long are these episodes?
Usually these episodes are 15 to 20 minutes. I have two. I actually have two shows. I have two shows. One is the Con Hour, which is an hour long. And then we have the Con-Versation, which is usually 15 to 20 minutes.
So this is the
But
con. This is the con. 32 minutes,
yeah,
half hour, plus 2 minutes and 37 seconds.
I never mind though, because sometimes the conversations lead to great knowledge. So you never know.
There you go. And that's all that matters, everybody.
Yes, 100%. But anyway, everyone, I will catch y'all on Thursday afternoon with the next conversation. And then Thursday night, we are having Cowtown Comic Con on the show at 6 p.m. Until then,